Hello everyone, nubkeks here, welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, I wanted to take Quintus for a spin against the Hydra clan boss to see what he can do. Quintus is, of course, sort of the ultimate reward, really, for live arena right now. You got to get up to, I think it's 4,000 live arena points. Certainly no easy task at all, but I guess as time goes on and people keep climbing up, in theory, whales and krakens, people with really insane champs should keep going higher, which gives other players the chance. I don't know. Let me know in the comments how tough you find getting up to Quintus. Is it something that you even try? I'm probably guessing at least half of you don't even bother with live arena because it's too much of a hassle. But I am curious what you actually think in the comments down below. But is he a good reward for getting him? I might actually do a showcase of him with Freya. Considering we're going to get a guaranteed Freya, that could be quite a nice combo because Quintus is very squishy. He's got nothing to keep himself alive. He's very squishy, but he does a lot of damage. So a really powerful protection champion like Freya might be very strong with him in arena. So we might do that. But today we're going to focus on Hydra. Why is he good on Hydra? Well, his A1 is nuts, right? Attacks one enemy, extra hit if the target has no buffs, and if he crits, he does it again. So this is a 4-hitter, and it absolutely slams. So he's got a massive, massive damage A1, which is going to combo really well with ally attacks. Hydra's not going to have any buffs, so we're going to rip through, or usually won't have many buffs. He's got an interesting passive as well, where he will do 10% max HP damage for every buff that enemies do have. This is kind of fun. So sometimes the Hydra will get buffs that you can't stop. So when they respawn in, they've got a buff that reduces their damage, the respawn buff. I don't know what it's called. So we will actually trigger this against them, but the respawn buff will reduce the damage so it doesn't hit crazy hard. On Nightmare, it's hitting for about 80, 90,000 when it's reduced. It's for more like, this will do just a max HP hit. It can be like 300 to 400,000 damage against a head. If they do happen to get buffs, it will trigger it, which is kind of cool. I'm not 100% sure from my video if it works against life barrier, but maybe it works against life barrier. Not 100% sure. It was hard to see because he just was ripping life barrier apart. One nice thing about him, he does self-buff increase attack and crit damage, which is kind of cool on his AoE. And then he's got a decreased defense A1. What I did in the run, guys, I actually left these moves on. I'm not sure if it's worth it. He does the most damage, believe it or not, in Hydra with his A1. But the damage on these moves is pretty decent. And I figured for my run that self-buffing the increased crit damage was probably worth it. And I figured that the decreased defense was probably worth it as well. This would be a lot better on manual if you could go, okay, there's a decapitated head. We don't have decreased defense. I'll use strip away. Otherwise, I'm just going to A1. That could be ideal. You get more damage out of him that way if you really timed it. But yeah, let me show you the build on Quintus. I have him in Savage and Cruel, which the optimizer is saying was the best for me. I do think that this is ignoring 30% defense. Ultimately, 6-piece Merciless would be ideal. Now, with 6-piece Merciless, that's where I might actually want to turn off his... I don't know, that's where manual might become more important. Because the cooldown reduction on the Merciless actually not too good. Because we really like his A1. So that's a little bit clunky, but Merciless is going to be better. You get 35% ignore defense. I just happen to have better Savage gear. I don't have any good Merciless artifacts, I think, accessories, I think, for the Banner Lords right now. But yeah, Savage and Cruel. I don't have any Blessing on him, which sucks, but we have him with almost 8,000 attack. He's very slow, so maybe we should crank his speed up a bit more. That might make more sense. He's got 300% crit damage, which is nice with the Hydra area bonuses. I still need to do more of the crit damage stuff, but he's looking like this. He hits 8,000 for his masteries. Now, for Arena, you might want to ditch Heart of Glory and give him Shield Breaker instead. And then you would ditch Life Drinker and give him Ruthless Ambush instead. Other than that, I think those are the masteries. It's pretty much the best stuff, right? You're going to get Helm Smasher. I did give him Kill Streak, which doesn't work for Hydra. Like, we could give him probably Stoke to Fury, possibly Deterrence instead. But yeah, that's sort of what I've set up with him. If you got a good way to deal with the fears, then Deterrence could be great. You'll see for my run that the fears are absolutely wrecking us. So let's jump in. Let's see this run in action. And I guess actually, hang on, let's go back to the start. So with this run, I did have to restart a few times here. This is the team. The problem with this team right here, it's a pretty good team, but we have like no way to deal with the true fears. The way we deal with the true fears is we pray that Podrick is going to cleanse it. It's quite clunky. I'm going to be completely honest. It's not great. So that's definitely a bit of a problem. There was his A3, by the way. It's hitting about 200k on each of these heads with decreased defense weaken. So it's an okay move, but it's not crazy, really, for Hydra. You're getting the AoE damage reduction. It's not the most insane AoE in the world or anything. So yeah, his A3 is fine, but wait till we see some of his A1s coming in here. Oh, here he's going to do his A2. You can see it's about 445,000. So again, it's a good hit. It's a solid hit. It's not too insane. We should come in with an A1, and that's where the magic really is. Any second now. And then we'll see him against decapitated heads as well. He starts to hit really hard. He got cooldown reduction from Podrick. That's actually quite annoying. Oh, well. Here he goes in. Okay, I think the head's going to die before. Yeah, but he... never mind. He missed his turn because he was feared. Unfortunate. You're going to see fears proccing all over the place. He's missed his turn, I think, again because he was feared. He's been cleansed now. He'll hopefully get a turn. So we got a decapitated head here. Here's an A1. You see, this head... that's something to watch out for. This does count as a buff on the Head of Wrath as well, which also sucks. So watch out for that. Head of Wrath, it does count as a buff when he gets his Enrage, and you can't stop that. So that will make Quintus's A1 quite a bit weaker, but it makes Quintus's A3 quite good, because that will trigger that extra max HP hit against Wrath, which is why I think it's worth leaving it on. Here he goes in A1, and we're hitting for like 400 to almost 600k. We hit about 2 million damage right there. A1 against a decapitated head. Let's go back a second. Look where we are in the total damage, because when you include Hex, it is absolutely nuts. So where are we right now? We're at about 12 million. Bonk, 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 bonk. We jump up to 15 million. You're doing potentially about 2 to 3 million damage per turn with Quintus, which is crazy. And that works with the ally attacks as well. So, like, he's doing a lot of damage, and that's every turn. There's not many champions that can do, 2 million damage against a decapitated head every single turn, which is pretty cool. He's a free champion, but he's really bloody hard to get. So I don't know. Like, if you're able to get Quintus to climb that high in live arena, I don't know if it's... Like, is he that useful? You probably have other ridiculously good champions, but he certainly is very, very good. There you can see, I don't know if you spotted it, 100,000 damage against this newly spawned in head. That was the max HP hit with Weaken, but triggered by the freshly respawn buff, but then also reduced by it. But yeah, so this team altogether, what else do we have in this team? So I've got Lazarius, this time in a support build, which is kind of fun. We've got Reflex set on Podrick. We've got Curse sets on Krisk and Aestrid. And then we've got, I think, Lethal on Michinaki. So, yeah, it's a decent team. Like I said, the problem with this team is really that the Fearhead absolutely messes us up. It's a huge problem. You do also trigger... Hang on, if we go back a second here, I believe he does trigger his max HP damage against the Poison Cloud as well. I mean, let's actually find out right here, right now. All these heads have Poison Cloud because I think we got feared and missed a provoke or something. Here he goes in. Yeah, so you can see, bam. That's pretty cool, right? So his AoE, we just did 300k, 357, 348. So these are all max HP hits against these heads because of Poison Cloud. So he can actually nuke through Poison Cloud, which is pretty cool. Let's see if we can find someone devoured and see. Okay, there. Let's see if we can see anything happen. Oh, it looks like, never mind. It's not gonna... Okay, never mind. They just got broken free. I'm just trying to skip... Let me pause. Hang on. Okay, so this should work perfectly. We've got someone devoured. He's going in with crowd favorite. 160 set. No, okay. So it looks like that does not count as a buff, right? If someone is devoured, doesn't count as a buff. As you can see, though, against... It did trigger a max HP hit against the life barrier. So life barrier counts as a buff. He'll do max HP. Devour doesn't. Still, though, he's going to do so much damage. He's going to break people free of Devour just fine. But we skip on, and we can see that the damage is pretty good. Not as insanely good as, it could be. There's definitely much better teams out there. But it's a solid performance. Let's see the final damage score here in a second. Unfortunately, he got devoured at the end, which sucked. But yeah, I feel like if I had a good way to deal with True Fear, we would have gotten a lot more. I feel like that really messed this particular team up. The fears are just a nightmare. But support Lazarius does no damage. Krisk and Curse and Aestrid. We see Quintus, 225 million damage. Pretty solid. With no blessing as well. It's pretty good for no blessing. So yeah, is he a good Hydra damage dealer? I would say yes. I would say yes. Now, bearing in mind, Michinaki, because Aestrid and Krisk are both in cursed sets, so we would really prefer to change that. Yeah, we'd really... So Aestrid in Feral 9-piece would be a really nice damage boost here. You know, yeah, so they're cannibalizing some of his Hex damage. He's still getting some damage from Hex, but like Quintus is doing more than Michinaki, I think, for sure. Obviously, if you got no Hex in the team, Michinaki bringing Hex is more valuable, but it's kind of nuts. It's kind of very strong. Yeah, does he do good damage for Hydra, Quintus? The answer is absolutely yes. The dude claps. He's really, really nice. So yeah, he is actually very valuable as a Hydra champion. Like I said, I would love to get a blessing on him, and then I'd love to get his speed higher and get him into Merciless, and I think then we'd be laughing. But yeah, he's actually genuinely really good. And he could also come into Arena. Like I said, that's where we might try him with Freya, but I think he's quite reliant on other champs to keep him alive. He's got no defenses. So he'll do good damage in Arena, and he can reset his A2 if he kills an enemy with his AoE. In here, he can remove all buffs from the target and put decreased defense before attacking, and this damage can't be reduced by passives. Kind of cool, and it resets his AoE if he kills someone. There's some fun stuff going on, and this extra damage, yeah, the extra damage that ignores shield and his max HP for buffs on enemies. All this stuff is really cool for Arena, so I definitely want to revisit this champ for Arena. It's just, how do you keep him alive? You really need a strong protection champion, and that's where someone like Freya, obviously Necret, those sorts of champs could come in kind of clutch. But yeah, that was a quick little look at Quintus. So the other champions here, so this was something I was trying out. Unfortunately, we're missing one piece of protection. This would be insane for Lazarius. I was trying him out in a protection build, which is fine. Because he does get targeted by Mischief a lot. So the idea here is that he is like a Mischief tank. I'll show you alternatives as well. Mischief tank, you know, he's bringing the block buffs, block debuffs. So he brings us multiple buffs. He brings increased attack, strengthen. He brings block buffs. Or sorry, he brings block debuffs. That's 3 buffs. And then he could potentially bring a shield as well. So I think you put Lazarius in protection, and he could be giving, you know, fairly consistently. Increased attack might be replaced by Quintus himself. That's one thing to watch out for. You could turn off Quintus A3. You could. Like, he could be giving you certainly 10%, up to potentially 20% more damage on Quintus, which is a lot in protection set. So that could be pretty cool. And I guess if I was building him, I'd put him in War Master, I guess, for Hydra. But he's in a sort of weird build. I'm going to be switching him back to my normal build now anyway. Lazarius is a funky one. And we've got Aestrid in Cursed Perception, which I think is pretty good. That's sort of the direction you go with her, really. And she's got some damage, War Master. We have Lethal Perception on Michinaki. So he's coming in like this. I'd love to have better gear for Michinaki. I just don't. So we should drop his accuracy a bit. His defense is very low. It's just kind of tricky. He's only 2-star. 3-star would help. 4-star would help as well. It's like this. I think with his defense so low, War Master might actually be better. But I don't want to spend the gems to change his masteries. Podrick, he is in Reflex and 5-piece protection. Yeah, which is fine. I'd love to get him in like 2-piece of Impulse as well. Impulse and Reflex. And then maybe 3-piece protection or 2-piece Pinpoint would be great for the speed, and get him in a really nice banner, because this banner doesn't have much speed on it. But yeah, he's coming in with these sort of masteries. And what was his stats? Trying to get him as much speed and reflex as possible, but just over 300. And yeah, that was not the whole team. We were missing a Krisk. Where's Mr. Krisk gone? Mr. Krisk, here he is. Mr. Krisk is coming in Cursed and yeah, just Cursed Perception. Sort of overkill on the stats. He's got Cruelty and War Master. And yeah, there we go. That's how it's looking. We did, by the way, I did then manage to claim, we skip on a little bit, my chests, because this was obviously enough to get our full 1 key. I'll show you a budget alternative to this as well, but I did pick up, actually you guys probably don't care, But yeah, we did pick up our chests, which was cool. So we got some gear for this, which was nice. Here we go. Just to show you how I'm doing on my Hydra chests. Really, I did not get a protection banner for lizards. That's what I really want. Any protection banner will do. So we could put Lazarius into 9-piece protection. That would be really fun to test it out. But it's not happening quite yet. But we got some decent stuff there that we could maybe use at some point, and we can definitely Chaos Ore some of this. Like, that's a mythical. Unfortunately, it's attack main stat, so that's like a mythical Chaos Ore needed to fix it. You know, Dwarf Banner Stone Skin. So we're getting some stuff, right? This stuff, it adds up. It's not too bad. Let me show you then a budget team, budget version of this team, which would be pretty simple, which would be this one here. So these are basically the changes that you would make. So I would really keep in Aestrid, the weaken. You want to increase attack as well, just to be sort of consistent. You definitely want the decrease speed, increase speed. So I would keep Aestrid in. We obviously have to keep Quintus in. I mean, you could replace Quintus with anyone. It's just doing damage. But, you know, if you're trying to do a Quintus team, you kind of need Quintus in there. This is what I would replace it with. So I'd replace the Krisk with Wixwell. And then I really want a Reviver. So really important to have a Reviver in this team, because if Quintus hits someone with reflect damage, he just kills himself, right? He will just one-shot himself if they've got reflect damage. So you want a Reviver. So I'd be putting in Rector Drath, actually be perfect. Duchess would be fine as well. I don't have a Duchess, but Rector Drath is going to give you some nice benefits. She's going to give you Perfect Veil, and she's going to give you the Revive that you need for your Quintus. If we don't have Lazarius, we obviously need block buff, so I'd switch out the Michinaki for an Ugo, and then you could put in any ally attacker radius. Put in Farrakhan, for instance. You could put anybody in here, though. So, yeah, I mean, this spot is really flexible. So you could just do this. This is like your core budget team. This is like a budget player's best friend from this year. 2 fusions, 2 epics. Just such an insane core for Hydra. So strong. And then slap in the Quintus and whatever else you want, really. Whatever else you want. And that would work really well. Let's put the Farrakhan back in. But that would work really, really well, too. That would be a good Quintus team on a budget. Like, if you're able to get Quintus, you know, you realistically have both these fusions, unless you listen to the comment section and skip them, which I can't help you with. I'm sorry. That's that's on you. That's your problem. But yeah, so this would be a nice sort of budget version of the team. It should also do pretty darn well, actually. Yeah. There you go. That was sort of my testing. I'm going to be trying out like this team on Brutal this rotation. We'll sort of see how that does. I'm curious. But yeah. Quintus, he's not too bad. He's not too bad at all, actually. Like, at some quick testing, he turned out pretty similar to my Turvold, I thought. Hang on, did I see an Apothecary? Oh, I love it. Apothecary. Nightmare Hydra. Apothecary. Amazing. 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 I love it. I love it. I love it. Because, of course, remember, guys, again, comment section never leads you astray. Trunda's not the problem. Yumiko's the problem. Yumiko is the only reason, guys, that Trunda can do crazy damage. It's all Yumiko. It's all her. By the way, here's like a Teox team is just on another level as well. Yeah, look, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time. Goodbye.